This is not a ban on TikTok. I'm a grandmother of teenagers. I understand the entertainment value, the educational value, the communication value, the business value for some business on this. This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic Tac Toe, a winner, a winner.
Tic Tac Toe, a winner, a winner. Nancy Pelosi, the media's Speaker Emeritus. I think that looked like it hurt her lips to have to speak like that, didn't it? That looked painful. Yeah, tick-tock, tick-tock. The House of Representatives yesterday, the Washington Times headline, House adds pressure to TikTok owner. Senate uncommitted. You can always depend on Chuck Schumer to do what is best for communist China. And you can depend on Chuck Schumer to do what is best for Hamas. Because, you know, he's a treasonous, traitorous, treacherous, left-wing lizard. And he's saddling up with Hamas. I'll get to that a little bit later on. But yesterday on Capitol Hill, the Republicans in the House of Representatives, they voted. They want the Chinese Communist Party-controlled parent company of TikTok to sell their interests in TikTok. You know, they had kids, TikTok had teenagers across the country calling members of Congress, telling them that they were going to commit suicide if TikTok was taken away. The kids should be knocked on the ground with fire hoses and they should be dragged away by dogs. Honestly, put your phone down, punk. Join the Marine Corps. I know, you're 12, whatever. So House adds pressure to TikTok owner, Senate uncommitted. Popular app seen as tool for Chinese spying, manipulation. And the Republicans are on the side of the United States of America and civilization, not communist China. The Democrat Party is opposed to the United States of America at every single turn. The House passed a bill on Wednesday that intends to leave TikTok China-based owner ByteDance with two choices: divest the popular app or face a ban in the United States of America. Now, this is kind of fascinating. Senator Rand Paul, for example, who I like, he's quirky. I don't always agree with him, but I like him. And he thinks that we should not be doing this because it's a free speech issue. Republicans, generally speaking, think that China is using TikTok to wheedle their way into American data and that they're using it for nefarious purposes, which, of course, they are, because what are they, Michael? They're communists. They're communists. President Biden has said he is ready to sign the restriction into law, but the bill faces obstacles in the United States Senate, fueled by the app's many users who will vote in November. Kind of missing the point. Representative Mike Gallagher, a Wisconsin Republican and co-sponsor of the legislation, said Congress must ensure TikTok has a future as a company for Americans, for the Chinese Communist Party, but not for both. See, the company can either have a future in the United States of America, kids using it, adults using it, people watching funny little cat videos on it, whatever people watch on TikTok. I could care less about TikTok myself. So Mike Gallagher says, listen, TikTok can have a future as a company for Americans or for the Chinese Communist Party, but not for both. And Mike Gallagher said, the Chinese Communist Party does not have a First Amendment right to conduct malign influence operations in the United States. Posted that on an X video. We need to cut out the Chinese Communist Party tumor from TikTok. That's pretty good. A bipartisan coalition of lawmakers authored the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act. There's got to be an acronym in there, doesn't there? Which would stop the app stores from hosting services and from making foreign adversary-controlled apps accessible online. You know, the Chinese have a long-term plan for the United States, and and it's not in our interest, I can assure you. But the TikTok app law, which the House has now passed, and Chuck Schumer may scuttle it on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party because he's not on our side. And so we got that going for us, and that's kind of a thing, the TikTok thing. Now, again, I don't really use TikTok. I don't care about TikTok. I know that kids are using TikTok largely. Adults use it too. It's an app. It's a platform on which people share videos and do all kinds of crazy things. And the kids love it, but it's an addiction. TikTok is an addiction. The damn smartphones are addictions for kids. I read a story yesterday that teenagers are actually happier and more content when they don't have their smartphones with them. And that should be noticed by parents everywhere. And kids in the survey are tired of their parents ignoring them while their parents are buried in their phones too. But never mind that. So it is I'm anti-communist China. And anything that communist China is advancing, I'm against.
TikTok?
Yes. All right, well, where is that audio, Michael? I see. Okay. All right. Well, let's, we played Nancy Pelosi saying, we try not to ban TikTok. We're trying to make it better. But when Pelosi says that, I'm inclined to go in the other direction because, she's not really on our side. Either is she. We're going to make it better. But here's Nancy Pelosi and one reason to not support the bill is that Nancy Pelosi supports it, and that's a pretty good reason. But she's getting paid somewhere. One side or the other is paying her. She needs another giant Sub-Zero freezer for her $18 a pint ice cream. Nancy Pelosi on TikTok.
During the Taiwan election, TikToked into Taiwan that the Uyghurs, on whom there is a genocide exercised by the Chinese government, they have told the people in Taiwan that the Uyghurs like that genocide.
The Uyghurs, they're Uyghurs, not Uyghurs. Uyghur is like a big rolled tobacco product that the Chinese smoke. That's a Uyghur. It's a cigar. Got a cigar. And the Uyghur genocide, hey, if there's a genocide going on of an ethnic and religious minority in China, maybe you should have something more to say about it. Speaker Emeritus Nancy Pelosi, inside trader extraordinaire. Yeah, maybe the Uyghurs. I've never heard anybody pronounce it Uyghur, have you? There are a number of Uyghur restaurants in Washington, D.C. I might have to call it Uyghur from now on just to make fun of Nancy Pelosi. There are Uyghur restaurants scattered around Washington, D.C. now. A pretty good number of Uyghur restaurants because, we are the world. We're taking every rapscallion that wants to escape their hellhole conditions. Congressman Thomas Massie talking about the app, TikTok, and the effort in the House of Representatives to get the Chinese Communist Party out of TikTok because they use it to manipulate public opinion. And that, of course, is the role of the American news media and the Democrat Party, who are not only in bed together, but, well, I won't go into the details, but let me say, how do you separate the Democrat Party and the news media? With a crowbar. That's how. Let's go to Congressman Thomas Massie, who is in favor of the bill.
Some of us just don't want the president picking which apps we can put on our phones.
Just don't want the president picking which app. Oh, no, wait. Massie is, I apologize. Massie is, they don't want the president picking which apps we can put on their phones. And TikTok, I think, has been banned by the federal government for federal government employee use. Isn't that right? Because except for Biden, because Biden uses it, because the rules don't apply to him. And besides, the Chinese gave lots of money to the Biden family. Remember, Joe Biden took his junkie criminal son over there. Oh, by the way, his junkie criminal son is now saying that he's not going to appear before the congressional committee. And because remember, he did the closed session and he came up and demanded, I'll do it in open session, but I won't do it in closed session. Then finally, gun to the head, did it, testified in closed session before the Republicans in the House. And I said in the open session, we'll schedule for the near future. And now his crooked lawyers are saying, well, now we're not going to appear. We're not going to accept the invitation to appear in open session before the House of Representatives. It's not an invitation. It's a subpoena. It's not a cocktail party with Russian hookers and Coke. It's a congressional subpoena. But the Biden family has absolute contempt for the law, and they know that our corrupt Justice Department and our corrupt FBI, oh, there's another corrupt FBI story today, too. Amazing stuff. Congressman Thomas Massey.
Our government shouldn't be able to spy on Americans without a warrant, yet they are. Let's bring that to the floor and vote on it. These are the kind of cures we need, not the bill that's offered here today.
He doesn't like this bill. Isn't that amazing? I've been in favor of this for years. Since, what was it, who was it? It was a left-wing senator, from Oregon, who got the director of national intelligence to lie under oath repeatedly about how they're not spying on us, but in fact they were spying on us. That's right, Ron Wyden. Yeah, and he put it to our director of national intelligence, are you gathering metadata on all Americans' communications? And he lied.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
Lie.
It does not.
Lie.
Not wittingly.
Lie again. That's perjury under oath to Congress twice by former general and DNI James Clapper. And he should have been in handcuffs for that. But we live in a very corrupt city, a very, very corrupt city. Let's get back to TikTok for a sec. Congressman Chip Roy is in favor of the legislation. I apologize to Congressman who was, in fact, not in favor of it, Thomas Massey. And, it's a perfectly valid argument on either. So there are good people on both sides of this argument, if I may. Congressman Chip Roy.
The bill is not a ban. It forces foreign adversaries, including Chinese communists, to divest.
Imagine that, Chinese communists. See, the Biden administration, they're in bed with the Chinese communists, the Biden family. And then, interestingly, there's a Democrat Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. And he's a Democrat, but he's in favor of the legislation squeezing the Chinese Communist Party out of the app so we can continue to use it here in the United States. I can't tell you, there is not a single app that I feel strongly about. It's like, oh, God, what would I do if I didn't have, insert app here? I could care less. You know what I do? I talk to people. I interact with other human beings. Kind of crazy. In person as often as possible. Raja Krishnamurthy.
They use geolocation data targeting minor children to then force them to call congressional offices. This influence campaign illustrates the need for this bill.
Knocking. Order. Yeah, Krishnamurthy. I got to say, anything that squeezes the communists out, they've got a 100-year plan. And that plan involves destroying the United States. And the Democrat Party is the spear, not just the pointy end of the spear. They're the whole spear, the shaft and all. Senator John Kennedy is always entertaining on everything, and talking about TikTok is no exception.
The issue is the Communist Party of China. And as I've said before, I wouldn't turn my back on the Communist Party of China if they were 2 days dead. And you shouldn't either. TikTok is owned 100% by a Chinese company called ByteDance. And ByteDance, the Chinese company, is controlled by the Communist Party of China. And the fear, of course, is that the Communist Party of China, through ByteDance, will use TikTok to access our data, to conduct cyber espionage, to advance Communist Party of China views, to access the software on our telephones, to meddle in our elections.
You can be certain that the commies designed the app to perform all of those functions from the first step forward. And we should be concerned, if not paranoid, as to what the communists in China are doing and what they are planning on doing going forward. If you like slavery, you're going to love the second half of the 21st century. You know, the Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale is here. You get 50% off site-wide at Omaha Steaks. Save on mouth-watering favorites today. All you have to do is go to omahasteaks.com. Shop the semi-annual sale where you can load up on all your delicious favorites. You know, you crave all the good stuff at Omaha Steaks, and you get it for half price. And when you use my promo code at checkout, you're going to get another $30 American off your order. Half off plus $30. Save big on delicious, tender, juicy steaks, big beefy burgers, and so much more. Omaha Steaks. With Omaha Steaks, every purchase is backed by their unconditional money-back guarantee. All you do is go to omahasteaks.com and shop the semi-annual sale today. And don't forget to use the promo code PLANT at checkout. That's PLANTEYNE. Nobody knows. Use PLANT at checkout to get another $30 off your order. Hurry, though, because this deal isn't going to last forever. Kickstart your spring grilling today. That's omahasteaks.com. The promo code PLANT at checkout. A minimum purchase and restrictions may apply. Visit omahasteaks.com for details. Yeah, the Democrats at the Oscars the other night with their pro-murder pins on to show how open-minded they are. The bloody hand of Hollywood. That's coming up. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. I've got some Chicago news updates for you coming up as well. And the Democrats are genocidal Jew haters, including Chuck Schumer, who, when he betrays, he goes all the way. Betrays America, and he wants Benjamin Netanyahu to go, which is what Hamas wants. They're on the same page again. I'll get to that coming up. Right now, let's go to a telephone call. Michael, let's go to Andy, calling from Bethesda, Maryland. Andrew, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Thank you. I'm a big fan, but I've got to take issue with you on a couple of points.
Okay.
I think the fact is I don't think we can handle the truth. When you look at the reality of this situation, as some experts, such as Alex Stamos yesterday, former security chief of Facebook, said yesterday, the U.S. is going to lose the lawsuit about this legislation because it's emphasizing freedom of speech rather than data protection, rather than privacy protection. So we're going to lose it. Secondly, we are ignoring, and the Washington Post cited this study out of the Georgia Institute of Technology. The Internet Governance Project did a study on the national security threats of TikTok. And this is really important. The Post cited this, but no one ever responded. Their study said that TikTok does not pose a national security threat because the data on TikTok is available to everyone. And
I'm sorry I ran out the clock on you there, but you got your point in, both of them. All right, our government is a disaster. Our Secretary of State is a disaster and a joke, Anthony Blinken. Yesterday he was out there. Blinken says criminal gangs and ordinary civilians are looting the humanitarian supplies that we drop on Gaza, and he never mentions Hamas, because he's a spineless jellyfish like his boss. Yeah, there are criminal gangs. That's called Hamas. The criminal gangs in Gaza, that's Hamas. And the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And ordinary civilians who are armed to the teeth because they're with Hamas. And they're stealing all the aid that we send in there, and they'll kill any of their neighbors and cousins to steal the aid. And our pathetic loser of a Secretary of State doesn't mention Hamas because, just amazing. In the meantime, Joe Biden is headed to Chicago today to meet with his jihad base. His jihadi base is waiting for him. Amazing. White House officials expected to meet with Arab and Muslim leaders in Chicago on Thursday. Senior White House officials planning to meet with Arab, Muslim, and Palestinian American community leaders in Chicago who are threatening to not vote for him unless he kills all the Jews. It's kind of an amazing thing. But the Democrat Party is a sick place these days. And, you know, they've got the jihad vote to worry about in Michigan and Minnesota, and now apparently in Chicago, too. Because the Democrat Party is the party of the jihad against the Jews, the genocidal jihad against the Jews. The Guardian out of the UK has the headline, Biden bear hugging of Netanyahu, a strategic mistake, say key Democrat allies. And this is the Guardian out of the United Kingdom. It's kind of an amazing story. The headline, here it is in our stories sheet, if you got our stories list today. Biden's bear hug. He met with Netanyahu and they had a bear hug because Joe Biden doesn't know who he's meeting with. He just goes around doing this. Ro Khanna, Democrat congressman radical, Biden's campaign surrogate, believes U.S. president should take tougher line with insufferably arrogant Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So Ro Khanna, who's a communist and apparently a jihadi too, calls Benjamin Netanyahu insufferably arrogant, and says that Joe Biden never should have hugged him because they want the ISIS vote, the Al-Qaeda vote for the Democrat Party is very important. And if that means abandoning Israel and the Jews here and there and everywhere, you know, they got the kids here in the United States chanting from the river to the sea, which is the jihad chants. It means wipe Israel off the face of the map, drive the Jews into the Mediterranean Sea, and kill them all. And the Democrat Party is chanting that too. All right. Now, we've got Senator Chuck Schumer as well. And before I get back to that, there's one more thing I want to get to because it's completely crazy out of Chicago. 9 killed, Chicago, Illinois, run by Democrats. And what are the Democrats worried about? Getting the jihad vote. 9 people killed in the city of Chicago in 24 hours. Now, let me just write, I think it was 1927, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, when Al Capone sent guys to try to kill Bugs Moran. And they murdered 7 people in a garage on the north side of Chicago. As famously the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It's the stuff of lore, of legend, of movies, of books, of history. Now, 9 killed across the city of Chicago in violent 24 hours. CNN won't even mention it. It's not even news. I'll bet $1 that 9 of them are black. One of them, an 11-year-old boy. A pregnant mother shot and critically wounded. And this isn't even news because the Democrat Party. The dead include a 15-year-old girl and a man shot while sitting in a car. Man who was welding. And a knife aboard a Chicago Transit Authority bus, a CTA bus. 11-year-old boy slain, pregnant mother critically hurt. And this is just a day. It's a weekday. It's not even a weekend. This isn't a 3-day holiday weekend. This is yesterday in Chicago, Illinois. And the Chicago Sun-Times has a front page story on it. And the rest of the news media could care less because this is Democrats being Democrats. Horrifying 24 hours in Chicago. 9 killed. Again, the Valentine's Day Massacre, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, 7 people killed. Yesterday in Chicago, 9 people murdered. Nobody bats an eye. Man, oh man. I'm telling you, that's your Democrat Party. One person was shot and killed in a Whole Foods. Sure. No problem. You betcha. Just amazing. The Whole Foods in Chicago went with a sign, a piece of cardboard, and a barcode. The cashier at the Whole Foods hit that it paid for the groceries had to be $100. 10 bags of chips, 10 Cokes, 50 candy bars that they're stealing, and they go out on the corner and sell the stuff, right? But then just shoot somebody and kill them. Amazing. Just amazing stuff. I am telling you, you're a Democrat Party. That's Chicago. That's normal. All right, now let's get back to the anti-Semites that are the Democrat Party. And they're angry that the insufferably arrogant Benjamin Netanyahu is under attack by jihadis, one of America's most important allies in the world. And the Democrat Party is abandoning not only Israel and Netanyahu, but Jews on the planet Earth and attacking them in Ro Khanna, calling Benjamin Netanyahu insufferably arrogant. And now we're learning that the Democrats in the United States, including the highest-ranking Jewish Democrat in the history of the United States, Chuck Schumer, also known as the Lizard King, Schumer calls for end of Netanyahu-led government in Israel. Well, too bad our intelligence community is busy undermining our elections here without consequence. Chuck Schumer, who's like, oh, I've known Netanyahu forever, probably for 50 years. And now he's throwing him over because the Democrat Party is in bed with radical Islamic jihad. They're in bed with ISIS and Hamas. They are not on our side, and they are the greediest, most selfish, corrupt political weasels in the history of the United States.
I have known Prime Minister Netanyahu for a very long time. While we have vehemently disagreed on many occasions, I will always respect his extraordinary bravery for Israel on the battlefield as a younger man. I believe in his heart he has his highest priority is the security of Israel.
Is a security of Israel. Yeah, it certainly is, because and he's a former commando, romping, stomping, life taken. His brother was a commando, killed at the raid on Entebbe. Yeah, I think he's loyal to his country. Schumer is a traitor to his people twice today, to the Jewish people and to the American people.
I also believe a majority of the Israeli public will recognize the need for change. And I believe that holding a new election, once the war starts to wind down, would give Israelis an opportunity to express their vision for the post-war future.
Yeah, they should get rid of Netanyahu because he's too strong and too mighty, because he's being thrown over by the Democrats in the United States, Joe Biden and the rest of the Democrats in the United States throwing him over. Just amazing. And that's remarkable stuff. Now, the Oscars the other night, which, who runs Hollywood? What was that, the Larry Sanders show? Who runs Hollywood? The Jews. No, the gay Jews. The Larry Sanders episode.
When the show ends, you want to work again, don't you? Somewhere.
Yeah.
You know who runs this town?
The Jews.
No, the gay Jews.
See, that's the Larry Sanders show. That was a funny show. Remember comedy? I miss comedy. The Democrats murdered comedy. Pretty amazing stuff. Now, at the Oscars the other night, there was a Jewish person who won an Oscar for a movie. Jonathan Glazer is his name. And he came up there and basically renounced his Judaism. When he, with the Oscar in hand, he won the big prize, and he was cheered by the crowd repeatedly. Israel bad. Let's side with the jihad and the genocide. I'm ashamed to be a Jew.
Our film shows where dehumanization leads at its worst. It shaped all of our past and present. Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people.
Yeah, well, that's because Hamas is a genocidal gang of anti-Semites that wants to finish the job that the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler started. But you can choose whatever side you want. He's an English Jewish person, and he won an Oscar for this film about the Holocaust, perhaps ironically. Jonathan Glazer, and The Zone of Interest is the name of the movie, and he's renouncing his Judaism, and we're all ashamed to be Jewish, and the crowd cheered, and it was complete madness. Now, I talked to you a couple of days ago about these lefties at the Oscars wearing red lapel pins that looked like maybe Memorial Day poppies or something like that. But if you look closely at them, they're round, they're red, and in the middle of the round red lapel pin, there is a red human hand being held up. And I discussed this with you the other day, that red hand is a symbol of a 2000 lynching in Ramallah, which is in the West Bank, where Arabs and Muslims are allowed to live in peace. And a violent mob attacked 2 Israeli soldiers, young men, and they brutally and savagely murdered them in an act of mob violence. And one of the dead Israeli soldiers, young men, his body was thrown to the crowd, and the crowd cheered as they ripped his body into pieces, using their hands and chopping. And the other one they set on fire after they murdered him. It's like Haiti. And these animals in Ramallah savagely butchered these 2 Israeli soldiers. It's a famous episode, if you know anything about Israel and all that. And it's called the Ramallah lynching. And the Ramallah lynching, the symbol of the Ramallah lynching for the murderers is a blood-drenched hand, because one of the murderers who led the lynching came to the windows upstairs and held both of his blood-drenched hands out to the crowd as they cheered. And the bloody hand became a symbol of the Ramallah lynching of these 2 soldiers, right? And that was the symbol that they were wearing at the Oscars the other night. Now, they can plead ignorance, and God knows a lot of them are as ignorant as tree stumps, but they're wearing this bloody hand with a red circle at the Oscars. Now, the Fox News people finally caught up to what I was sharing with you a couple of days ago. Oscar celebrities accused of wearing, quote, symbol of bloodlust, end quote, originating from Palestinian lynching of 2 Israelis. Critics say the bloodied hand is a symbol from the brutal murder of IDF reservists by a Palestinian mob in 2000 in Ramallah. There is a young woman, an activist, social media influencer and all that, Montana Tucker, this was brought to her attention. Hey, and she was on the Fox News channel this morning, Montana Tucker.
I was shocked to see so many celebrities that have such huge platforms to be on there. I don't think they necessarily knew the real meaning behind the pin. I don't want to say that, but it triggered so many Israelis around the world, Jewish people around the world about the lynching in 2000 of Israelis. And I wish they all really, really knew the meaning behind it, because it really, really upset and triggered so many people.
Maybe they really, really do know the meaning behind it, and they're wearing it. You got your Mark Ruffalo's of the world and the other lefties. The Israeli government and other critics are calling out celebrities wearing what they believe is a Palestinian symbol of bloodlust that was canonized in its culture from a bloody lynching almost 25 years ago. Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas, Mark Ruffalo, and many others at the Oscars were wearing this symbol on their clothing. They said, we're calling for a ceasefire in the Middle East. Well, then tell the genocidal, blood-gargling baby murderers to stop attacking everyone around them. They were living in peace. There was a 2-state solution with Gaza, twice the size of Washington, D.C., with 25 miles of Mediterranean seafront property, nice beaches, which they cover in the blood of innocents. And these idiots from Hollywood wearing this symbol of the Ramallah lynching from the year 2000, and they're too ignorant, too stupid, or too vicious to care what they're wearing. To those who wore the red hand pin at the Oscars, this is what every Israeli and Palestinian thinks of when he sees the red hand, the lynching of 2 Israelis by Palestinians in 2000 in a police station, said Ophir Gendelman, an Israeli government spokesperson on X. The murderers drenched their hands in their victims' blood, celebrating their murders. Don't support that. But at the Oscars, that's what all of these so-called liberals were wearing. Some of them presumably Jews, like Chuck Schumer. Kind of on the wrong side of history, I'd have to say. I got to tell you, if you're a Democrat, you got some splaining to do. In Montgomery County, Maryland, the headline from Fox 5 in Washington, D.C., Durwood is the name of a town in Montgomery County. Durwood church teacher who assaulted young girls, plural, was deported twice, charged with multiple sex crimes. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which the Democrats want to defund and eliminate. A church teacher accused of sexually abusing multiple young girls in his congregation in Montgomery County has been twice deported from the United States of America. And Joe Biden waves the child rapist back into the country again and again. And was in the country illegally at the time of the assaults. No kidding, according to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Irvin Giovanni Alfaro Lopez was arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual abuse of a minor on Monday, March 11th. Citizen of El Salvador, arrested U.S. Border Patrol near Lake Charles, Louisiana. And he's been deported again and again. And the Democrat, this is their open border. This is who they are. This is what they do. And if you work at the White House, you might have a gay man spending a lot of time sexually abusing you. If you're a man, and he's very abusive to the women too. Staff allege toxic work environment in Biden advance office. This is at the White House. Staffers at President Biden's advance office face a toxic work environment, according to more than a dozen individuals who spoke to Politico. The advance office, responsible for preparing, coordinating the president's public appearances, saw its associate director, Ian Mellul, M-E-L-L-U-L, resign in March following a months-long investigation of the White House counsel. Complaints of verbal harassment, Mellul told employees who made mistakes he would ruin their lives and called junior staffers worthless and a piece of S, calls on several people familiar. And then you've got the Jill Biden office, Jill Biden's work husband. She says, this is a gay man who spends all of his time. It matters because he's constantly talking about men's genitalia and their pants and their clothes and their bulges. And this is the Biden White House. Remember when Joe Biden said anybody that treated people rudely in his White House would be fired? That was just another lie.